Phillips. I'm the chair of the JEA Awards Committee, and I'd like to call the February 27th, 2025 awards meeting to order. We have a quorum this morning represented by myself, Ted Phillips, Kim Wheeler, who is here for Jody Brooks, and Ricky Erickson. OGC is represented by Rebecca Levy, and Budget is represented by Stephanie Neely. Did we receive any public comment via email?
No public comment received.
We have no one here in person. Is there anyone on the call this morning from the public who would like to speak up? If so, unmute yourself and you have the floor. Hearing none, we will move on. On today's consent agenda, we have items 1 through 5. They have been approved by procurement, budget, OGC, legal, the business unit VP and chief, and are ready for the awards committee approval. Before we take a vote on the consent agenda, would anyone like to move any of the items to the regular agenda for discussion or to defer to another week? Hearing none, I would accept a motion to accept today's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So that was Ricky with the motion, Kim with the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. On our regular agenda this morning, we have 2 items. Item number 1 is a invitation to negotiate for wood pole stocks for JEA. So I was the one that asked this to be moved to the regular agenda. My question on this is, I know in the past, per these awards, the vendor was supposed to keep a certain amount of stock at their site for us during the storms, and we found out that maybe they didn't keep those levels like they were supposed to. Fortunately, it didn't get us in too big of a bind, but I was wondering, is there what is the process for us to audit if they have those poles on site like they're supposed to? And then are there any kind of penalties if they don't? So I'm not sure if that's a question for somebody from the procurement team or somebody from the business to answer.
Hello, Ted. This is Kenny Pearson in procurement. I'll take that one.
Thank you, Kenny.
So there are not liquidated damages or a penalty per se contemplated in the agreement. What we would do in that instance, well, first to validate with all of our storm stock suppliers at the beginning of storm season or in preparation for storm season, typically about 30 days out, we reach out to them to ensure that they have fulfilled their obligations in regards to their stocking requirements. If any of those that don't have it, we do follow up with them. And then in addition to that, anytime there is a named event, we reach out one more time and follow back up with those same suppliers to have periodic check-ins to make sure that everything is still running smoothly, that we have the appropriate contact information, that nobody's left their company or things along those lines. So that's how we would vet the process of, do they have it or do they not? And then in regards to what would be the remedy if they were to not, that is one of the key reasons why we are asking for a primary and a secondary supplier, is because of some of these issues that have arose over the past few years. And with a primary and a secondary, we have more leverage against a supplier should they have non-conformance, but we also have flexibility on our own to be able to maneuver should we have issues that were to arise. And we have already spoke with this backup supplier, the secondary supplier, and they have agreed that they would be willing to take over that responsibility if asked for them to do something along those lines. And what we would then do is start working through the remedies of a termination for default or a termination for convenience with some sort of negotiation of how we would remedy it, with the base being that if a supplier were to be found in default, that they would be responsible for paying for any delta in cost for us to procure those goods and services from their competitor. So that's how we would remedy the situation if they weren't to not be able to meet their storm stock requirements.
Thank you, Kenny.
You're welcome, Ted.
So having the two people that this is going to affect, are you guys comfortable with that?
Well, he has a second supplier, so
Yeah.
that's the main thing. We all know that when these storms happen, contracts are contracts, but vendors go where the money is too.
Yeah.
So having the second one, I think is better than having any sort of inspection or field visits or anything like that to ensure we have the supplies we need.
All right.
Yeah, and the second place, I'll add that the second place supplier is the largest wood pole supplier in the country. So, and they were the highest overall for the evaluated portion. They were the highest evaluated, and that is because they have multiple yards throughout the Southeast that could service us. So we really get a lot of risk mitigation from that standpoint. And they also own their own chemical processing plants that would be able to that they use in the chemical treating for the preservatives of the wood preservatives. So we think that we're well suited to have the largest single yard and our incumbent supplier being our primary, and then having such a robust secondary supplier that will be contracted for the parts as well as a backup. We think we're going to this thing as well equipped as we can be going into this next contracting term.
Thank you, Kenny.
You're welcome.
That answered my questions. I don't know if anybody else had any.
I'm good.
Okay, I entertain a motion.
So
So that's Ricky with the motion to approve item number 1 of the regular agenda. Kim with the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. Item number 2 of the regular agenda is a fire suppression for some of our CTs. The reason that I asked for this to be pulled off and put on the regular agenda is that we only got one bid on this. And so I just wanted to get on the record exactly what was done to try to secure another bid. I know this is a very specialty type item. There's not a whole lot of folks out there in the world that do this, but I thought it would be advisable just to get on the record what actions were taken to try to get more competition on this bid. Is there somebody from procurement that can help with that?
Yeah, sorry, Ted. This is Jason Bear. I was the purchasing agent on this bid. Ahead of the pre-bid, I did reach out to the potential suppliers, and we had a few decline for various reasons. IMC Fire Protection, they just didn't have the resources to take on this large of a project. WWGA Fire and Integrated Systems, the specialized work wasn't really in their wheelhouse, and they would have to sub pretty much the majority of the project out, and they just weren't comfortable doing that from a reputational aspect. Fortitude Fire Protection, they actually would bid in the future on things like this, but in this case, the manager had recently left Milton J. Wood, and he declined because he actually kind of helped with this project with Milton J. Wood. So he declined participation due to kind of a non-compete conflict of interest with them, but did assure me that anything in the future that they would participate in. I would just like to note that Milton J. Wood is a supplier we are very familiar with. They have a few continuing service contracts with us, and since their bid did come in slightly under the budgetary estimate, we're comfortable moving on with them.
Okay. Thank you for that, Jason. I appreciate the detail. Any other questions from anybody else on the committee? All right. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt item number 2.
So moved.
Second.
So that was Ricky with the motion, Kim with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. So today, items 1 through 5 of the consent agenda and items 1 and 2 of the regular agenda have been approved. Is there any other business that needs to come before the awards committee this morning? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Jason, thank you, and Kenny for your help with the 2 items on the regular agenda. And thanks everyone on the team for getting everything put together. You make our lives very easy. So thank you. I hope everyone has a great rest of your week and nice weekend. See you next week.
Have a good one.